Hi, everyone. Happy Monday. Thank you so much for joining today with me for my second session. Again, my name is Meera and I am honored to be here for my second class with all of you. So outside of your yoga mat, today 2 blocks would be great. We'll be doing some forward folds that would be super helpful. And then I know I sent it out with my invite. So, given that Valentine's Day is coming up, I thought that would be a great focus for today. Growing up and experiencing Valentine's Day here, the focus of the holiday is always about love. And for me, I've always felt that it's predominantly about the love that we receive from others, whether it's materialistic, emotional, physical, energetic. And so I think all of you know that really one of the most important loves outside of that we receive from others is self love and self acceptance. So once we have more of that, we can then more easily receive love from others. So with that in mind, I think let's come to the mat. I'll meet you in just a forward in regular Indian or Japanese style. And again, just like every time, let's set your intention for today's practice, whether it's, the love you want to give to others, the love you want to receive, that self-awareness, self-acceptance. Let's set that intention for today, bringing your palms to heart center, your eyes closed if possible. And then again, we'll start with one chant of the mantra Om. And again, that's really to connect with the universe and distinguish this time that you're taking out for yourself, for your intention, separate from the rest of your day. So just take a deep inhale here. And so we're going to start where we typically end today. Let's start in Shavasana. I'm just going to lower the camera angle a bit so you can make sure you can see fully here. So again, starting in Shavasana, what we typically call the corpse pose, just to check in with our bodies. So bringing your toes out to the sides, your palms facing up, and just start to feel where you are in your day in this practice. Again, did you rush to get here on time? Are you going to take it easy just to go straight into rest after this? Just see how that breath is connecting to you, how fast or slow it is. Where is it coming from? Is it out through the chest or through the belly or through the mouth? Just start to notice that and connect with it. Notice its speed. Make sure you're really doing some deep inhales and exhales here. And then what we'll do is just want to start connecting with each of our joints here. So if you want to start with your ankles and just start with some gentle circles of your ankles. So we're just going to start warming up our bodies to come into today's practice. So we can take circles in the opposite direction. And then let's go with your wrists here. So again, taking some gentle circles with the wrists so that we can just get into our bodies. Make sure you do it in both directions. And then even with your head and neck, you can gently turn your head in both directions, making sure not to move it too quickly. Again, just becoming aware of where we're at. And we'll check in again, of course, at the end of class in the same way. You can take now from your elbows, taking some circles in both directions. Again, just trying to remember to focus on that breath. Inhales and exhales. And then from here, let's come into the T position. So bringing your arms out to the side. And then from here, just bring both knees in together and then gently stack them over to one side. So this gentle twist here should feel really good on your lower back. Try to keep those both shoulders on the ground. For more of a twist, you can look over to the opposite side of where you stacked your knees. And then just keeping your breath, gently release and come to the other opposite side. Maybe bringing the knees over to the left side and looking towards the right. Again, just focusing on your breath. And so we talked about focusing on, the really self-love and self-acceptance. So there's a question that people in yoga always ask, and that is, who am I? And part of yoga is really to just learn yourself. Learn when you need pauses. Learn what you need physically, mentally, emotionally. And there's an answer to that question, who am I? And it's, I am that. I am that. I'm made up of all these experiences. And there's a word or a mantra called Hamza. So what is your Hamza? Yoga helps you to really identify that. Connecting with your mental, spiritual, and physical self all at the same time. And then from here, let's bring the knees back to center and give yourself a hug and maybe rock gently from side to side. Then again, just to loosen up those joints, maybe taking some circles with your knees. Whether you draw with your hips or draw with your knees, make sure you take them in both directions. And then again, maybe just a gentle rocking here. And then from here, you can either rock yourself all the way up to tabletop, or you can just gently step back there. So I'm going to do it facing you so that you can see what I'm doing with my hips. So maybe starting just gentle sway side to side. And maybe it is easier if I go this way. So this is a little bit, they call it wagging your tail. And again, if we go back to that circle, so now if you try sitting backwards with your hips, and imagine you're doing a figure 8, you're drawing a figure 8 with your hips. Sitting back to tabletop, and back. So whatever your body needs here, that feels good right now. A couple more sways, maybe another few circles. Make sure you don't lose your breath. So really just trying to focus on keeping those same inhales and exhales throughout this practice. And so from here, we're back into tabletop. And you want to have that long neutral spine. And then on your inhale, you want to drop your belly and look forward, keeping that tailbone high. And on your exhale, you want to arch your spine, bringing your chin to your chest and your hips inwards. So on your own pace, let's just take a couple inhales into cow and exhale into cat. So again, just at your own pace. Let's take a few of these. Maybe just 2 more here. Deep inhale. This is really good for lengthening and strengthening your spine. Deep exhale. 1 more time. Deep inhale. And exhale. So from here, let's just sit back into child's pose, sitting between your heels, bringing the front, the big toes next to each other, sitting back between your heels, and then just reaching as far out as you can in front of you. It's up to you how yin or yang you want to make this practice. So if you want to just relax here and let gravity pull you down, or if you want to actually challenge yourself and reach forward, really getting that good stretch through your spine. And just always bringing it back to your breath. You can give your forehead a gentle massage here. And then from here, what we'll do is, before going to downward facing dog, we'll just take a quick puppy pose. And what that is you can leave your arms here, just lifting your hips up behind you, bringing them underneath your shoulders. And then from there, if you have that 90-degree angle with your calves and your hips, you can gently walk your arms or hands out in front of you. And this is really a deep, shoulder opening pose. So if you can, if your practice allows, you can bring your forehead to the mat. Your elbows can be slightly above, off the ground, or you can bring them on the ground if that's comfortable. But imagine, how does that puppy stretch when you see them always get up from sitting? It's something that's also very good for us as we're sitting in chairs all day. Again, focusing on that breath, deep inhales and exhales here. And when you're ready to release this pose, you want to gently walk your arms back, and we can sit back into child's pose one last time. And from here, child's pose, we can come through tabletop and come into downward facing dog. So our first downward facing dog of this evening's practice, or whenever you play this video, again, just lifting those hips to the back top corner of your room. If your practice allows, you can keep your heels on the ground. If not, you can always pedal your feet opposite sides, but imagining that inverted V shape, as if someone was pulling that inverted V up to the sky. This really should open up your shoulders. You can push those shoulders back, push through your hands. And again, just bringing it back to your breath. Deep inhales and exhales here. When you're ready to release this pose, let's bend your knees, look towards the front of your mat, and then you can step or walk your feet back to the front, coming into a full forward fold. Again, our first Uttanasana here. And then you want to lift to a halfway with a flat back. Coming all the way down again. And then on your inhale, bring your arms up. Again, so it should be to the front of your mat. And then exhale with a simple circle back to the center. So going on the theme of Valentine's Day, the next pose that we're going to be working on is Angel's Breath. And so for those of you who haven't heard of it, it's really a conditioning movement to move all of our joints. And so what we'll do here is inhale and bring the arms up. And on the exhale, you want to release. And if it's in your practice, lift your heels, bring your palms to heart center, bring your fingertips towards yourself, and bring them up on the inhale. So I'm going to exhale, come down, lifting the heels, fingertips in towards you, lifting up on the inhales. Exhale, coming down towards you and lifting up. Again, down. This really uses all the joints. I have some cracking going on. That's not a bad thing. That means your joints are working. But of course, if you feel any pain in your knees or anything else, you should not be doing this. You can always sit in child's pose. Just focusing on your breath here. Just a couple more rounds. And on the last one here, inhaling back up. And on the exhale, just back to Tadasana in mountain pose. So hopefully you feel kind of warm. What we'll do is we'll just take a couple stretches first to lengthen our side bodies. So let's start with Chandrasana or moon pose. So we can inhale the arms up on top of you. And it's hard to see here, but if you can bring your palms together with your index fingers only pointing up, or you can also just keep them together. Just make sure your shoulders are relaxed. Try to keep both 50-50 pressure on both of your feet. And on the exhale, we want to just come to one side. So you can grab onto the opposite arm and the wrist. You can stay with the index pointers together. But you want to just try to keep those hips squared towards the front. And really, if you're coming to the right, you should feel that stretch on the left side body. And again, coming to your breath here. I've heard the kids call this banana pose, but we'll call it moon pose here, Chandrasana. And taking a few deep breaths here. And then take one last deep inhale. And on the exhale, back to Tadasana. So we'll do the same thing on the other side. Again, just inhaling, bringing the arms up on top of you. Maybe interlocking all your fingers except the index fingers. And then here, take an inhale and lengthen that spine. And on the exhale, release. I'm coming to my left side. So I should feel that stretch all through my right side body here. Again, trying to keep equal pressure in both feet. Trying to keep both sides of that torso lengthened. And then just focusing on that breath. And then take one last deep inhale. And on the exhale, come back up and release the arms back to center or Tadasana. So we just focused on the side body here. Next, we're going to move on to the hips. And so what we'll do is we will just come into goddess pose. So if you want to open up your feet slightly wider than the mat, bring your palms to heart center. And then when you're ready, just lower down. And so just this by itself, you can stay here. Or if you want to challenge yourself, of course, going lower, you can really feel that in your groin, in your hips. Your feet should definitely be out toward the side corners of your room. Trying to keep that your back lengthened behind you, your shoulders, you can pull them back. And again, just focusing on some deep inhales and exhales here. So we did the angel wings breath. We're into goddess pose. And all these are really for your own self-awareness. How far can you go? Being happy with where you can go, because where you are today is because of all of the experiences you've had so far. So just taking this pose into a quick flow for the breath. So let's inhale and bring the arms up on top. Exhale, bring them down and back to goddess pose. So again, at your own pace, let's take a few of these. Bringing on the inhales, come up, straight legs. Exhales, back to goddess pose. A few more of these. Deep inhale, coming up. Exhales, coming down. And then one more time, if you want to challenge yourself, we can stay here in goddess pose and do the same flow as opposed to straightening our legs. So only if you want a challenge here, otherwise you can come up again and do the same. So again, this is taking an inhale, arms up, exhales, staying in goddess pose. Just a few of them. Deep inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And then when you're ready, just release, straighten those legs, and just come back to center. So we're going to go into a crescent lunge series next. So just coming to the front of your mat. I'm staying a little back because I can see that the camera's a little up. All right, so coming to the front of your mat, starting in Tadasana. So we'll take two sequences of flows here. So starting with the crescent lunge one. Inhale the arms up. If you want to take a slight back bend. Exhale and fold all the way down. Halfway up and lift, peek up. Exhale and fold. And here, let's plant your hands, soften your feet into plank. Inhale and pause, and on the exhale, come down, 4 limbs or 8 limbs pose. Coming up into cobra or up dog. And then finding your way back to downward facing dog. Again, each time we come here, this should be easier and feel better. So from here, again, we're going to make our way to crescent lunge. So let's take the right heel, inhale the right heel high behind you. Step forward with that right foot between your hands. And then inhale the arms up to crescent lunge. So the back heel should be lifted high. Your knee can be directly over your ankle, the right knee. And so again, we'll just take a few conditioning movements here. You can either stay here if you want, or if you want to just inhale and soften that back leg, and on the exhale, bring it forward, knee high. Again, inhale, bring it back. Exhale, bring it high. 2 more times. Inhale, leg back. Exhale, high. And last time, inhale, and back up, and back to crescent lunge. So from here, we're going to go into a standing spinal twist next. So there's 2 options. Let's first bring our arms together, and you can either lower your back knee into this Anjaneyasana pose, and then find a twist, bringing the left elbow over the right knee. So this is option 1. Option 2 is if you wanted to stay in that crescent lunge position with the back heel lifted for more of a challenge. I'm going to leave my back knee down on the ground. Again, focusing on that breath. There's options here if you wanted to open your arms or close them. But again, just focusing on the breath. And then from here, if you have your blocks close to you, this would be a great pose for you to have blocks. So we're here in the twist. We can bring our arms back to the floor, come back into that crescent lunge, and then we want to take an intense side stretch. So you can bring the back leg closer to the front leg. You're still in warrior 2 feet, And then you just want to, if you need blocks, you can have them here. But this is called intense side stretch, but it's really good actually for your leg. So I like to call it intense leg stretch. So here, you want to, again, with blocks or without blocks, you want to inhale and lengthen that spine, and then exhale and fold. And it shouldn't be all the way down where you can bring your nose to your knee. You want to take more inhales and lengthen, and then try to get through that space as you exhale. But this should feel really good in that leg, strengthening it, lengthening it. It should be challenging too. So again, you can keep the blocks here, you can keep them here, but really finding that length in the spine and then working through it on the exhale. And from here, we want to come back down into crescent lunge. And then we'll just finish this flow and start on the left side. So bring the right leg back behind you. Pause and inhale. On your exhale, come down. Cobra or up dog. And then back up to downward facing dog. Few cycles of breath here. This helps to rest between poses. And then again, bend your knees, look between your palms, and either walk or jump to the front of your mat into your forward fold position, coming to a halfway lift all the way down. And then on the inhale, bring the arms, reverse swan dive, and all the way down back to Tadasana. So we'll do the same thing on the left side now, going through this crescent lunge series. So taking a deep inhale, bringing the arms up, slight back bend if you'd like, coming all the way down to Uttanasana, halfway up, all the way down, and making your way to plank pose. Again, pausing, and then on your exhale, coming down into 4 limbs or 8 limbs pose, cobra or up dog, and back up to downward facing dog. So this time we're going to go with the left leg. So let's inhale that left heel high behind you, and then step forward with that left foot. Again, coming into warrior 2 feet, keeping that back heel lifted, coming into crescent pose. Again, try to relax those shoulder blades, keeping the biceps close to your ears. And then we'll do that same conditioning movement here. So inhale and soften that back leg. Exhale and lift. Inhale, bringing it back. Exhale and lift. And you'll see, of course, that one side is usually harder or easier than the other. This one is definitely harder for me. But again, just focusing on that breath. If you fall out of it, come right back. At your own pace. Maybe one more time here. Back to crescent lunge. And then again, we're going to go into that standing spinal twist. So bringing the palms back to heart center. Again, you can either stay here in this crescent lunge and take the twist, or you can bring that back knee down And then bringing the right elbow this time to the outside of the left knee. Coming into that twist. Opening up that left shoulder blade. Again, just focusing on the breath. Again, you can open the arms here. The gaze should be up as comfortable. And then from here, let's release the arms again to the mat, and we're going to come into that intense leg stretch or side stretch here. So just lifting that right leg up behind you, bringing it closer to that front leg. Should be no more than 3 or 4 feet distance between the two. You can use the blocks here if you need. But again, inhaling and lengthening that spine. And on the exhale, folding forward. Taking a few cycles of those, trying to bring your nose to the knee. My leg is shaking. I don't know about yours, but that's a good thing. That means we're feeling that stretch, challenging ourselves, finding that edge. And from here, you can move the blocks to the side, bring the palms back to the mat, coming back into that low lunge. And then here we'll finish this flow, just bringing the left leg back behind you. Pause and inhale. Complete this sequence. Cobra or up dog. Back up to downward facing dog. Again, each time we come here, this should feel better. Should be easier to get your heels to the ground. It's a good place to always come back to the breath. And then again from here, bend your knees, look between the palms, and then walk or step forward, coming into a full forward fold. Halfway lift, making sure making sure the blood flow is good, coming down, and all the way up. Atita Tadasana, and relax all the way back to Tadasana, mountain pose. So as I mentioned, we'll do one more series next. It's a Warrior 3 series. So let's come to the middle of your mat, and we'll start with the right leg again. And so what we'll do is let's inhale the arms up along with the right knee. And then on this exhale, we want to come straight into Warrior 3. So just bring that right knee behind you. Maybe bring the palms together with that same index finger pointing, and it might be easier to do it this way. So you're balancing on a teeter-totter, trying to keep your hips squared towards the ground, bringing the right leg up behind you. You can either point or flex your foot. And here you can leave the arms in front of you. You can come into airplane arms. You can bring the arms to the sides of you. And if you fall, just come right back. Some deep breaths here. And then from here, if you have your blocks, again, we want to come into standing needle pose. So straight from that Warrior 3, So my hips are tight here, but if you can bring your back leg as high as you can behind you, keeping that standing leg straight. Again, inhaling with that length, exhaling and folding. And from here, I'm going to turn back around to the front. You bring that back leg that's up behind you. Let's bring it to the outside of that left foot. So trying to make the pinky toes touch one another if you can. This is called a sciatic stretch. And so what we'll do here is you can either leave your hands in front of you on these blocks, or if you feel comfortable bringing your arms up behind you, interlocking your fingers. This also feels really good in that lower back. So definitely some options here, whatever feels good. And from here, let's gently, very slowly, one vertebra at a time, slowly release from this pose. You can even bring your arms to your hips if that feels good. And that leg that's behind you, the right leg, let's bring that straight into tree pose. So again, you can keep that right leg, the right toes on the ground, like a kickstand here. You can bring it to your left calf, or you can bring it, if comfortable, to your left thigh. From here, if you can bring your hands to heart center. This is Vrikshasana, tree pose. When ready, you can also bring your arms out to the sky, to the ceiling. You know, what better way to represent who we are than with this tree? Starting from the roots that we're born with, and then all the experience that we have, how much we get watered, who comes to see us. Think about what that is for you. Could be hopping here. Again, if you fall, you can just come right back. And when ready, palms back to heart center. And rest your right leg back to the ground, coming back to Tadasana. So just finding this triangular base of support on your feet might be helpful to gently roll the toes to the balls of the heels before we start on the other side. All right, so I'm going to turn this way so that you can see the warrior three pose. So again, inhaling, taking a deep inhale, arms up, left knee up. And then when you're ready on the exhale, again, coming straight into warrior three. Trying to keep that standing leg straight. Trying to square those hips towards the front. You can point or flex your toe. And again, taking whichever arms feels good to you. I find that these airplane arms gives me more balance here. Again, but just focusing on the breath. And then again, from here, if you have the blocks, coming straight into that standing needle pose. So you can inhale, find some length, and on the exhale, folding forward, trying to bring that left leg up behind you. Still trying to square the hips towards the ground at the same time. And then from here, I'll face the front, but again, bringing that left leg to the outside of the right foot. So both of those pinky toes, if you can, trying to get them to touch each other. And then again, you can stay in this forward fold on your blocks, or you can interlace the fingers behind you and feel this full sciatic stretch. Trying to keep that equal pressure on both legs. And here, when you're ready, gently, again, vertebra by vertebra, coming up. You can bring the arms to the hips to keep you balanced. Finding your way upwards. And then from here, straight into that tree pose. So bringing the left leg out behind you. Again, you can keep it here. You can bring it to your calf. Or you can bring it to your thigh, just never on your knee. You want to make sure there's never any lateral pressure on that knee. So for me, this left side is usually more challenging. Bringing palms to heart center. Finding your balance here. Finding your drishti or your gaze that you can focus on, that focal point in front of you. Again, if you feel balanced or rooted enough, you can bring the arms, open up the branches of your tree, being loud and proud of who you are today. You can always finish the pose with a smile. It's really the icing on our cakes. Again, just focusing on that breath. Deep inhales and exhales. And then take one last deep inhale. And on the exhale, lowering down back to Tadasana. So we're going to come into garland pose next, which is Malasana. So we can just, inhale the arms up here, and on the exhale, you want to come, if you want, you can spread your feet, but coming all the way down, again, with palms back to heart center. So they should be close enough here, your heels, that you can push your elbows back into your knees, and the knees can push forward your elbows. So really just finding this balance here. You can keep your feet on the floor. If your heels are lifted, you can put something underneath your heels, like a blanket for more support. I'm going to stay down on my heels here. And then what we'll do from here is take a twisted garland pose. So if we just bring our right arm out to the side, just bring the left arm up, looking towards it. And you can always stay in garland pose if that's too much. You can also come to seated if that's too much. But if you want to challenge yourself here, you can also bring this left arm behind you. You can put it in a bind. So whatever feels good for you. Let's lower that left arm back to center. Both palms touching here. And let's take it on the other side. So bringing the left arm out to the side in front of you and the right arm out, looking towards it. Again, if you want, you can bring that right arm behind you. You can leave it there. Focusing on the breath. Take another deep inhale here, and on the exhale, coming back to garland pose. This is really good for opening up those hips, the groin area. And then from here, we kind of stretched out the feet here. Let's stretch out the balls of your feet. So if you just come onto your toes here, come to a lengthened spine. And again, if this is not comfortable for you to leave your heels in the air, you can come to a seated position. But here, just to stretch out the balls of the feet. Again, just taking a deep inhale with the arms up. Exhale, coming down. So again, at your own pace, a few of these. And one last one. Deep inhale. And exhale. So let's just sit back onto your glutes, and we can bring your legs in front of you. This should feel really good. We just worked out the calves, the feet. And what we'll do next is go straight into boat pose. So if you want to bend your knees here, and maybe this is easier this way, so you can see. Bend your knees, and then bring your torso here to a 45-degree angle. So you want to come to a place where you can feel your core engaged. And so bringing your arms out to the sides, so you can either keep your legs here, you can bring them here, or if you have it in your practice to a full boat position, you can bring them up here. I'm going to leave them down with my heels down. And I'm just going to take a deep inhale. On the exhale, coming back. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, coming back. Let's take 10 of these at your own pace. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, coming down. Two more here. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. So from here, we're going to come into a forward fold position next. So this is Paschimottanasana. So just again, keeping the legs in front of you. If you want to just wiggle them a bit. And from here, just again, lengthening that spine. And then taking your inhale, bringing the arms up. And on the exhale, you want to fold forward. But imagine again, you don't just come straight down and fall into your knees. You want to find space. So again, inhale and lengthen. And on the exhale, you fold. And it should take you at least 5 to 6 of these sets to kind of bring you down as far as you can. Just using your breath on those exhales to move forward in that pose. So again, inhaling and lengthening, exhale and folding. And wherever you feel comfortable with your hands, if you can grab onto those front big toes. With your fingers, you can grab onto your ankles. You can grab onto your calves here. Whatever feels good for you. Just not losing that breath. Again, this can be as yin or yang as you choose. So again, whether you rely on gravity to pull you down, or if you want to actually challenge yourself and move further with each exhale, using your breath. And from here, when you want to release again slowly, just one vertebra at a time, coming back up, lengthening that spine. So we really closed off our chest here. And so the next pose that we'll go into is fish pose, Matyasana. So here, again, I'll move to the side so you can see where the legs are at. If you want, you can use a block and put it in between your shoulder blades. But what we want to do here is just leave your palms to the sides of you. Gently lower your back all the way to the floor. You can bring the legs straight in front of you. And then when you're ready, we want to inhale and bring the chest high. Shoulder blades relaxed and down. And if you have it in the practice on the exhale, let the head be heavy behind you. So this is challenging if you don't have a block underneath you. When you're ready to release, gently again, one vertebra at a time, coming all the way down to the ground. So that really should lift your chest, keep it open. And then what we want to do next is go into a supported bridge pose. So if you bring your feet in towards your glutes, you want to have them almost hip distance apart, and your arms, your hands should be able to kind of, if you wiggle your fingers, you should be able to touch your heels. And from here, on your inhale, you want to push your glutes up towards the sky. And not holding your breath, make sure you take breaths here, inhales and exhales. So you can either stay here, or you can bring your palms together and kind of tuck your shoulder blades in together towards each other. And continue to just push up with your hips and your chest. So this inversion is really good to get the blood flowing, of course, all through your body. Just making sure you don't hold your breath. Make sure your jaw, everything is relaxed here. And maybe we just take a few repetitions of this with the breath. So releasing here. And then on the inhale again, coming high, hips towards the sky. And releasing on the exhales. Maybe 2 more times here. Deep inhale. And exhale. And 1 more time, deep inhale. And exhale. Slowly coming to the ground, releasing the arms to your sides, untucking those shoulder blades. And from here, maybe just grabbing onto your knees again with a gentle rock from side to side. And we're going to come into a shoulder stand next. So just going to tuck this in. And so what we want to do is bring your arms next to you. Again, you can have your knees bent. And on your inhale, bring the legs up. And then again, you can stay here in this kind of 90-degree angle. Or again, if you have in your practice, if you have this feeling you want to come up onto your shoulders, gently push your hips upward, bringing your palms to your lower back. You can walk them up. Again, feeling the stretch in your shoulders. You can point and flex the toes here. Again, never forgetting your breath. So using your hands here as support. And then from here, again, you can stay here, you can bring your legs down. But if you want to try and come into plow pose, so from here you can slowly bring the feet closer in the direction of the mat. So of course I have a couch here, so this won't go all the way to the floor. But what you can do is if you can bring those toes all the way behind you, that would be coming into plow pose. Making sure not to put too much pressure into your neck. And from here, make sure you're breathing. And when you're ready to release, just bringing the legs back to that shoulder stand. And then again, taking a deep inhale, and on the exhale, just releasing. You can bend your knees here and slowly walk your spine back to the floor. Maybe taking a few rotations of your neck in both directions here. Let's grab onto the knees here. Again, giving yourself a hug and a gentle rock from side to side. And from here, our favorite pose will come into happy baby pose. So just grabbing onto your big toes here, bringing your knees, towards the direction of the mat. And then again, just gentle rock from side to side. Again, thinking about those experiences we had as a baby, what makes us who we are even those experiences that we don't remember. So whether we were a baby and don't remember, maybe it was we were working too much and just let life pass us by. All of these things make us who we are today. And all of that is what we have to accept and love about yourself. So we'll come into the archer pose next. So if you just bring, let's say, the left leg in and then straighten that right leg if possible. And you can stay in happy baby pose if that's comfortable, but just to feel another stretch here. This is called archer pose. Again, focusing on the breath. And then from here, let's switch sides. Bring the right foot in and the left leg out. Again, for me, this side is always more challenging. My left leg is shaking, but that's okay. Deep inhales and deep exhales here. And then from here, let's bring both of your soles of the feet together on the ground. So this is Supta Baddha. So butterfly pose on the floor. Again, just helping us to open our hips here. Try to keep your whole spine on the ground, relaxed, shoulders back. Again, maybe your neck, gentle rotations of the neck from one side to the other. And then we'll take just couple quick poses before Shavasana. So let's, again, bring the knees toward the direction of your nose. And like we started, let's take a couple circles with the knees or the ankles, whatever you want to draw with in both directions. Again, with your arms wrapped around your knees, we'll take one throat lock here. So take a deep inhale, bringing your forehead up to your knees. And then as soon as you have to inhale again, that's when you want to release back to the floor. You can hold your breath here, and then when you have to inhale again, you come back down. And I've always learned that this is a really good pose for just recharging your body. Just like our laptops need to be rebooted sometimes to get rid of their problems, this is another really good way for our cells to recharge and reboot. So one more throat block here, just taking a deep inhale and bringing your forehead to your knees. As soon as you can't hold the breath anymore, come back down. And then from here, the last pose will come into some supine twists. So let's bring that, keep the left knee bent and the right leg out in front of you. With this left knee, let's take some circles with the ankles here, with the left ankles in both directions. Just again, where we started with our practice. And then from here, let's take the right arm and bring it to the outside of the left knee and fold that left knee over to the right side, bringing the left arm out, looking towards it. So here you want to try to keep that right leg in front of you, fully engaged. You want to try to keep the left shoulder on the ground. And then your gaze is towards that left arm, looking towards it. And again, just taking some deep inhales and exhales. This should feel really good for your lower spine. And when you're ready for the next side, let's again bring both knees back to center. Again, take a few circles with the knees. So whether you drive your knees or your hips, taking some circles in both directions. And then this time, let's keep the right knee bent and bring the left leg out in front of you. And then we'll bring this right knee over to the left side, leveraging the left arm for that, and bring the right arm out in front of you, looking towards it. So again, trying to keep that leg in front of you, fully engaged. Should feel the stretch on that left thigh. Trying to keep that right shoulder blade down on the ground. And then gazes towards that right arm. Pushing that right knee down towards the ground with the left arm. Again, and just breathing into this, deep inhales and deep exhales here. And from here, when you're ready, into our final resting pose for today, we'll come into Shavasana. So just bringing both of the legs to the outside corners of the mat, heels in with the toes facing out. Bringing the arms next to you with the palms facing up. And just relaxing, taking in, absorbing everything we did for the last hour, hour and a half. And just to reflect on what we talked about having everything you need, accepting yourself, having awareness of yourself, and remembering when we have that, when we love who we are, that's when we can only get and receive love from many others. So I want to play a song for you that I've heard many times over this past year. So I'm going to just play this, and I hope you can hear it.
Have everything I need. I have everything I need. I have everything I need. From the mountain to the sea, I have everything I need. 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 From the mountain to the sea, all of this is within me. I have everything I need. 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 From the mountain to the sea, I have everything I need. 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 From the mountain to the sea, all of this is within me. I have fruitful darkness is all around us.
And from here, just starting to wiggle your toes and your fingertips. Let's turn your bodies onto one side, coming into the fetal position. Slowly. And coming back to your breath. And then from here, using one hand to push yourself off back to that seated position where we started. And I hope you were able to hear that song. So that's Everything I Need from Trevor Hall. I had the opportunity to actually hear him live on Zoom just a couple weeks ago, and it was even more invigorating, hearing it live. But thinking back to the past year we've had, instead of focusing on the negatives, really just thinking about us having everything we need, and if we all were able to always think about that abundance, I think we all would be really happy throughout, these kind of harder times that we've all experienced. So I think, just everything I have, everything I need, from the mountain to the seas, think about that as we go into Valentine's Day, right? That you are very much self-aware, and you have that self-love, and then you can receive that from others. So just bringing the palms back to heart center, and again, coming to that chant or mantra, Om, exactly where we started to conclude our practice. So one deep, big inhale. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining tonight, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you.